Kia ora, good morning. We have just got word that multiple protests have begun within Hamilton. We now switch to reporter Henry, who has more information on the current situation.
Multiple protests have erupted within the region of Waikato today after the Minister of Parliament for Waikato announced today that a new political ideology will be enforced onto all urban areas of the region of Waikato. While there is no proof that these laws and ideas will be enforced onto the people of Waikato, there have been calls from the Prime Minister that this Minister of Parliament for Waikato is to be forcibly resigned from his position. A petition will be set up in Parliament and within the National Census which will ask for the Minister of Parliament for Waikato to be removed from his position. Wait, we're just getting some new information right.
We apologize for interrupting your current programming. This is a regional emergency broadcast from the New Zealand Government and Civil Defence. The following broadcast has been issued at 8:46 a.m. New Zealand Standard Time on the 12th of August 2023. This is not a test. All residents who reside within the region of Waikato are to evacuate immediately to neighbouring regions such as the Bay of Plenty, Taranaki, and Auckland, as multiple mercenary or armed citizens have been reported to have been engaging in combat with local law enforcement personnel. Information is vague, but it appears that there are as many as 10,730 armed citizens who are engaging in combat, at least more than half of whom are within the city of Hamilton. The New Zealand Defence Force as well as New Zealand Police will engage combat with the people and hopefully eliminate the threats. The following areas will be put into an emergency lockdown: Hamilton, Raglan, Huntly, Taupo, Cambridge, Tokoroa, and Te Awamutu. If you live within any of these areas, remain indoors at all costs and do not go outside and engage with the fighters, as they have been reported to seriously maim law enforcement. All flights heading to or from any urban areas listed above are to either be diverted or grounded in order to prevent putting more people's lives in danger. There are fears of a terrorist attack thanks to the large amount of hostility within the Waikato region. However, we have our word that every region and city within New Zealand will be on high alert. Defence Force soldiers will be arriving within the affected areas shortly. Take care, good luck, and stay strong. Ngā mihi nui Waikato.
This is just in. We have just got reports that the New Zealand Defence Force soldiers, whom have entered the region of Waikato, have issued an evacuation order for all soldiers and civil authorities within the area. Fighting has become too unstable and has resulted in more than 600 casualties from the New Zealand Defence Force. An official state of emergency has been declared for the region of Waikato, and all New Zealand citizens are required not to approach any area within the region of Waikato. All roads, including State Highway 1, State Highway 2, and all other roads connecting any region to the Waikato region, have been closed and roadblocks have been put up in order to prevent people from entering or exiting the area. There are also reports that fighters within the region of Waikato may have been influenced by the secession of the South Island, now known as Rangatiratanga. While most do not wish to see another potential civil war happen within New Zealand, there have been reports of support coming from regions such as the Bay of Plenty and Taranaki.
This is not a test. All networks and stations within the region of Waikato have been shut down in order for this broadcast to play through. This message has been transmitted at 7:21 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time on the 12th of August 2023. Please pay attention to the following broadcast. Following an intense battle between mercenaries in Hamilton and the New Zealand Defence Force, an official order has been given out that all defence personnel must evacuate and retreat from the region of Waikato immediately in order to avoid any more damage and putting civilian lives in danger. Negotiations will begin shortly. However, we have just got word that a zone has been set up within the city of Hamilton. All residents who still currently reside within the district of Hamilton are unable to get out, or they will be shot or attacked by mercenaries. Supplies such as food, water, and gear will be dropped into affected areas where residents are unable to escape. Do not attempt to fight the terrorists, as it is likely that they will inflict serious harm upon you or your family. For your own safety, remain indoors and if necessary, cover all doors and windows to prevent any intruders from coming inside. It is likely that negotiations will begin tomorrow and that residents will be able to escape the cities of Hamilton, Cambridge, Raglan, and Taupo. Please stay tuned.
This is a message from the Waikato Freedom Fighter Organization, or the WFFO. All external news stations and networks that are being transmitted to the people of the Waikato region have been blocked or interrupted. It will remain like that indefinitely. No resident is permitted to travel within any neighboring region from the Waikato. If you do attempt to escape, you and your family will face severe consequences. Negotiations with the government of New Zealand may take place. However, it is unlikely things will change. The region of Waikato will no longer become a region, but it will soon become a separate country from New Zealand. It will not be ruled by the New Zealand government but instead under a new wing of diplomacy. A new government. All cable networks and internet will be shut down around the region of Waikato and the only information will be coming from these broadcasts. Stay tuned until further notice.
This is just in. A new government has been established within the Waikato region in New Zealand after cities such as Hamilton and Cambridge have been taken over by an organization. This organization is commonly known as the Waikato Freedom Fighter Organization, or WFFO for short. In order to prevent another New Zealand civil war from happening, negotiations have begun between the New Zealand government and the organization in order to find a solution which leaves citizens of the Waikato region out of harm's way. This has followed a similar event last year in which another organization seceded the South Island from New Zealand, which is now known as the new nation of Rangatiratanga. As of right now, efforts are being made to evacuate people from the region of Waikato, as only 12,000 have been evacuated so far.
Sir, they don't want to accept our negotiations. They simply do not want to give up the region. What do we do?
We can't do anything stupid that could risk plunging this nation into another civil war. I mean, we could always compensate land to them, but there's nothing else that we can do which wouldn't put the lives of civilians at risk.
Why not just give up the land and give it to them?
Then we'd be letting them win. Who knows what's next? The Bay of Plenty? Gisborne?
What if we make them think they're winning but we take them by surprise? This message has been transmitted at 8:25 a.m. New Zealand Standard Time on the 19th of August, 2023 at the request of the New Zealand Defence Force and Civil Defence. This message will only be transmitted to civil authorities or law enforcement. This broadcast will also be played in multiple languages including English, Te Reo Maori, Samoan, Hindi, and/or Chinese. You are listening to the English version of this broadcast. This message has been broadcasted within the regions of Northland, Auckland, Manawatu Wanganui, and Lower Hutt. Please pay attention to the following message. Following the retreat of New Zealand Defence Force personnel from the region of Waikato on the 12th of August, 2023, it is at the New Zealand government's interest that a new tactic is to be set up. While negotiations to compensate land have failed, the Australian government have discussed and are willing to send troops over to New Zealand in order to help efforts to free the people of the Waikato region. While information is classified, it is at both the New Zealand and Australian government's interest that a full-scale land and sea invasion of the Waikato region will take place in approximately a week's time. All current New Zealand Defence Force personnel as well as the Royal Australian Navy and the Australian Army will undergo preparation and training throughout the following week. It may be intense training and there may be a number of deaths during the invasion, but it will all be worth it if Waikato is freed from the radical government that they are under. There will be zones set up around the Waikato region where residents should evacuate as there may be intense fighting around those areas if the New Zealand Defence Force and the Australian Army are pushed back. In the meantime, prepare yourself as soldiers and defence personnel will be airlifted to appropriate zones 5 hours before the invasion. Take care, and good luck.
Alright, we've sent out the alert. What do you want us to do next?
Well, the Australian Minister of Defence contacted us earlier today and said that they'd be deploying troops near Otarua.
How many soldiers are we expecting?
A little more than 15,000.
That's a lot.
Yeah. We also have the Royal Australian Navy on standby and also ready to be deployed.
Alright then, keep us updated.
Flights heading from neighbouring regions of the Waikato, such as Auckland and the Bay of Plenty, have begun to be grounded. This has come in recent news of another expected attack from the New Zealand Defence Force towards Hamilton. As well as that, there are concerns that flights heading above the Waikato district may be shot down. In light of these rumours, the CEO of Air New Zealand has confirmed that at 11:59 p.m. tonight, all commercial and private flights heading to or from the regions of Auckland, the Bay of Plenty, Taranaki, and Manawatu Wanganui will be grounded to prevent further aggression with the Waikato district. It is also reported that the capacity of rebels within the Waikato district has grown as more people within the area are being recruited, some inside reports state. We estimate that the number has risen from 10,000 to at least 13,000 today, with some rebels from the South Island.
May we please have your attention? This is not a test. This is an official alert from Civil Defence as well as the New Zealand Defence Force. All major media networks and stations have been shut down in order for this announcement to play through. All residents within the cities of Pukekohe, Rotorua, New Plymouth,
Matamata, Tauranga, and Tongaporutu must evacuate either as far north or as far south as you can. There is a risk that the newly formed government of the Waikato region may attempt to invade neighbouring regions next to the Waikato. That is why it is at the New Zealand government's interest to block all roadways and any entry points into main populated areas near the Waikato region. Residents who are unable to be evacuated will be airlifted. There will be an imminent invasion of the Waikato region shortly. In the meantime, for all other citizens of New Zealand, stay away from areas near the Waikato as there may be heavy fire within those areas and intense fighting. We will keep you updated on this situation. Good luck, and take care.
Okay, how's the invasion going?
It's going pretty good so far, sir. The New Zealand Defence Force have successfully liberated Taupo, Turangi, Kinloch, and Taumanu from the Waikato region and the Waikato Freedom Fighters Organisation.
Good. Any updates from the Australian infantries?
Yes, they have captured the port town of Raglan and have moved at least 30 kilometres inland, liberating the towns of Wairau and Waitatuna on the way. We expect all infantry to reach Hamilton as soon as the 28th.
Any casualties?
Not many as far as we know of, sir.
That's strange. It could be a bloodbath in Hamilton. We'll need to send in airlifts during the liberation of Hamilton if we are expected to be met with lots of resistance. If there are as many rebels as anticipated, it could be one of the bloodiest days in New Zealand history. We want to keep as many civilians unharmed from this as possible.
We will begin establishing refugee camps around the liberated areas. There are flights ready to go from Wellington and Auckland, as well as military airlifts from Wairu military area that are on standby.
Good. Keep me updated.
This is not a test. Your life may be at risk if you do not listen to the following broadcast. Since 8 a.m. yesterday, on the 26th of August 2023, a surprise invasion consisting of both New Zealand and Australian troops has occurred. They are currently making their way inland through the region of Waikato. In order to defend yourself and your family from the invaders, you must secure yourself indoors and defend yourself with whatever you have. Kill anyone who you don't know who enters your front door. The Waikato Freedom Fighters Organization will supply the people of Waikato with weapons such as guns and blades to fight the invaders. If they reach the city of Hamilton, the region of Waikato may fall, and we will once again be part of the tyranny dictatorship of New Zealand. Do not listen to what the media tells you. If any unknown aircraft fly around or near your region, take whatever means necessary to bring that aircraft down, as they may deploy troops that will harm you. All people of the Waikato region are strongly advised to stay away from the western and southern parts of the region, as that is where the invaders most likely will be. The nation of Rangatiratanga is happy to provide us with soldiers and troops as well as to help aid us in order to fight this battle. It is to our displease, however, to announce that Raglan, Taupo, and Turangi have been captured by the invaders. The cities of Cambridge and Hamilton will be heavily protected by soldiers of the Waikato. There may be intense fighting, which is why it is encouraged that the people of the Waikato region should in fact help aid the effort to fight along with the invaders and not to move away from Hamilton or Cambridge. Our freedoms are at risk. Fight for the greater good.
Kia ora, good evening. We have some breaking news as soldiers from the New Zealand Defence Force and the Australian Army begin an invasion of the Waikato region. This has come in recent news of citizens in the Waikato region being unable to leave thanks to rebel roadblocks. The newly formed government of the Waikato region warned that if soldiers attempt to liberate the city of Hamilton, then harsh consequences will follow. The New Zealand government have once again begun attempts on negotiations with Waikato. During this time, refugees who live within other regional towns of Waikato have managed to escape from the region as forces attempt to liberate towns. One such report coming from Raglan, where as many as 3,500 people have managed to flee the city during the invasion in fear of the Waikato rebels or mercenaries clashing with New Zealand and Australian soldiers. Some Kiwi citizens believe that if Hamilton is successfully liberated from the Waikato government, then the Waikato region or the government of Waikato may fall. There are some hopes across the country that the same may apply towards the South Island, as there are rumours of radical or dictatorship-like laws being applied in some areas within the South Island.
Alright, is the target locked? Yes, sir. It should be ready to launch now. Alright. For the sake of everyone's lives within Hamilton, let's hope this will make them give up.
Warning. This is not a drill. An attack from the invaders has been launched out on the city of Hamilton. Just less than 10 minutes ago, a missile struck the WFFO office within Hamilton, killing at least 47 people, including important politicians who organize the Waikato Freedom Fighter organization. This attack on our own land will not be forgotten. We have also got word that the New Zealand and Australian forces have entered the city limits of Hamilton and have liberated the neighbouring city of Cambridge. Please keep fighting, fellow people of the Waikato. We may have lost the battle, but we will not lose the war. We will show to the New Zealand people that we as a region can form a separate democracy from the tyranny government of New Zealand. Fight alongside our heroes for our freedom. This is our final stand.
A tense standoff is shown in Hamilton today as both New Zealand and Australian soldiers surround the inner city of Hamilton. Footage is limited, but by what we can see, it appears that there are tanks that are rolling down the streets of Hamilton. The New Zealand government has warned the newly formed Waikato government that if they continue resisting and treating what little citizens they have left as hostages, there will be more fighting. So far, at least 8,358 people have been killed so far. 1,120 of those being civilians and 452 for both the New Zealand and Australian soldiers. However, 6,786 mercenaries or so-called freedom fighters from Waikato have been killed. One witness claims that the nation of New Zealand hasn't seen this much bloodshed since the New Zealand Civil Wars more than 160 years ago. Officials hope that we won't be seeing a repeat of this happening. However, it is clear that there is a civil war happening right before our eyes.
Kia ora,
May we have your full attention please? This is a national broadcast sent out by Civil Defense. Issued at 12:30 p.m. on the 7th of September 2023. It is important that you pay attention to this announcement. This broadcast will be played in a number of languages including English, Te Reo Maori, Chinese, Hindi, or Samoan. You are listening to the English dubbed version of this broadcast after negotiations this morning at 9 a.m. New Zealand Standard Time. The region of Waikato will no longer be an independent state but instead reintroduced back into New Zealand democracy. This means that the region of Waikato no longer has a separate government from the current leading New Zealand government. As well as that, all citizens and mercenaries who took part in defending the Waikato region and attempted to harm or injure New Zealand or Australian soldiers will be put on trial. While we understand this news may be disappointing to some, people who have attacked a soldier as means of self-defense will be released from trial. As for all mercenaries who were present within the former Waikato Freedom Fighters organization, most of whom will either be deported to the South Island or to Australia. The cities of Hamilton, Raglan, Cambridge, and Tokoroa will be temporarily uninhabitable for several months as the government attempts to rebuild damaged areas. For all currently homeless citizens of the Waikato or for people whom have been displaced, refugee camps, public shelters, and hotels will be set up where you may reside within temporarily. All members of the former Waikato Political Party Foundation will be tried and arrested for treason, manipulation, among other such crimes. This has been an announcement from Civil Defense. Thank you for paying attention and thank you to all our people on the front lines who have helped bring justice.